Hey, I am Jess, and I'm obsessed with all things nutrition, science, and helping you navigate this information while maintaining a deep sense of peace and empowerment in your body. I'm a registered dietitian who started out with an eating disorder and then fell in love with learning about how God intricately designed our bodies to be resilient and so much more than superficially beautiful. I am now a mama who loves to be healthy, not because of how it makes me look, but because of how it has transformed the energy I can give to my family, my friends, and you. On this show, we hit on real talk around the latest nutrition science and body image resiliency, all while balancing it between grit and grace. Think of this as your weekly audio coffee to encourage your empowered eating journey. This is the Fuel Her Awesome podcast. Hey friend, I'm so glad you're here as we continue the summer series here on the Fuel Her Awesome show. If you have missed it, on Monday we talked about how to move from a posture of criticism to curiosity when it comes to your body, and we do that through biofeedback. Biofeedback is one of the cornerstones of the empowered eating model, and essentially it means listening to your body. It is learning how to tune into things like hunger, lab work, what's going on with your bowel movements. We look at all these things and we learn how to connect it to the food we're eating so that we can work in conjunction and partnered with our body instead of fighting against it. I'm super passionate about this one, so much so that I have put together a free biofeedback workshop for you guys. You can find more in the show notes. You can click on the link, take the free workshop. It's going to get you started. Check that out, and also listen to Monday's episode if you missed it. On Wednesday on the summer series, we talked about micronutrients for mental mojo. Another topic I am so passionate about. Nutritional psychiatry is on the rise, and we are seeing just how powerful getting your gut health in order is because that gut-brain connection is so tightly linked. So fun topics that we've been tackling in the last couple of episodes. Now, as for today, I want to tackle a topic that many of you have actually been messaging me about. It's all about salt these days. Influencers on social media are raving about how we need 2 to 4 times the daily recommended amount of salt. And I want to talk about, is this true? Should you beat the heat this summer with more salt? And what should we do with all these sodium and electrolyte beverages? So we are going to dive right into this one. You ready? So let's just start by getting on the same page. There are electrolytes and there are minerals. Now, minerals include things like sodium, potassium, magnesium. These are all minerals, and they're the dominant minerals in your body. Now, the electrolytes are those minerals that have a charge, like sodium and potassium. Those will be the 2 dominant ones. Sodium in particular is one that has a really strong focus in our culture right now. Sodium it's an essential nutrient that's required for your body. It's involved in blood pressure regulation, nervous system, and muscle functioning. And it's estimated that the body needs about 500 milligrams of sodium per day to function properly under normal conditions. Now, if you look at some of these sodium-based beverages, they will have, again, 2 to 4 times the recommended sodium amount. So when these first started popping up, I was like, what is the deal? That is so much sodium. This can't be good. So then I thought, well, before I'm skeptical, I'm going to just dive into some of the research and see what we find. Should we be having this much sodium? Are there dangers in it? And who does this apply to? Really interestingly, I found something that surprised me. Most of my training is based on disease management, which is a bummer because I don't want to just manage diseases. I want to help people prevent them as well. I want to be trained in both. And I think sodium is one of the topics that got lumped into disease management, and we forgot to look at how it might play a role in prevention when we aren't necessarily trying to manage disease with nutrition, when we're trying to live in that prevention era. So when these popped up, I thought, you know what? I'm going to implement the empowered eating model here, which is to look at some of the nutrition science and then listen to how my body responds. And so how I went about this is I actually ended up doing, it was funny, when I was researching this a few months back, I was also in the process of getting credentialed to administer something called a hair mineral tissue analysis, which is a really cool test where we look at the root of your hair and we are able to capture your internal like nutrient profile, because what happens is like the hair grows in that nutrient environment, and as it comes out of your head, that picture like locks in, and so they can test the root of your hair to get a really good idea of what your mineral balance is. It's really, really cool. So anyways, I was going through that process while learning more about sodium in a broader population. So this is like looking at sodium in folks, not just folks who have high blood pressure, and found that there was some really interesting research on how in some people, many people, especially athletes, don't get quite enough sodium, especially if you combine it with a nutrition lifestyle that doesn't include a lot of like eating out or eating of processed foods. So I thought, I'm going to try this for myself. So looked at some of my mineral imbalances and found that there were some imbalances, which was leading to some of my hormonal imbalances, and decided to add in a sodium-based electrolyte beverage daily. When I did this, within a month, I saw dramatic differences. My workouts felt better. I was more hydrated. I was noticing my urine output was different. It was more clear. It was more consistent. And the best one, my hormones rebalanced. My periods are now incredibly healthy. They used to be super painful. I called it my diaper day, where I really struggled to leave the house because I had such unhealthy and heavy flows. Adding in an electrolyte-based beverage to rebalance my hormones, or to rebalance my minerals, impacted my hormone balance, and in effect, saw some major changes in my life. So it has my attention. But when people ask me, like, do I need this? I think we have to look a little bit deeper, because my story may not be applicable for you. So let's back up. Let's back up a little bit and look at some of this data from a bird's eye view. Now, one of the things we do know is that there is a really high intake of sodium in America. The average American consumes over 3,500 milligrams of sodium per day. Now, for reference, again, the body, it's said we only need about 500 milligrams. My first question is, where is that 3,500 milligrams coming from? Is it coming from salted French fries? Like, you should see the amount of salt my son puts on his French fries. Or is it coming from salted fruits and veggies? Is it coming, like, where is that coming from? And what are the other nutritional habits around that average of 3,500 milligrams? When I dove in deeper to the research, one of the things that became really apparent is that this data is correlational, not causal. So in other words, the data that's looking at the relationship between sodium and high blood pressure, it's not saying, we can't say that sodium causes high blood pressure, but we can see some correlations. So we can see some correlations that when somebody has an average of 3,500 milligrams of sodium per day, we see that in conjunction with someone who has high blood pressure. Now, again, we have to dig deeper. Higher sodium diets don't necessarily cause high blood pressure in everyone, because a meta-analysis found that cutting down on the amount of salt did not necessarily reduce cardiovascular risk. So we have to look at this a little bit deeper. It appears that the people with the lowest cardiovascular disease risk can actually tolerate and may benefit from more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. So again, all data is correlational, not causal. And what we see is this J-shaped curve showing that folks with a very low or very high sodium intake have higher cardiovascular disease mortality rates. So the lowest point on that J-shaped curve, so where your sodium intake intersects with lowest cardiovascular disease risk, is actually between 3,000 and 6,000 milligrams of sodium in a day. So this means that the USDA guidelines and the American Heart Association guidelines are below that optimal range. Now, those numbers that are recommended by the USDA and the American Heart Association, again, they're looking at disease management. So folks with high blood pressure, how can we make sure we don't exacerbate that? But for some of us who don't fall in that category, we may need to think outside the box and look at this J-shaped curve showing that lowest risk is with an intake between 3,000 and 6,000 milligrams per day. Isn't that fascinating? I just think that's so interesting. And it just shows that when some of these recommendations come out, whether it's from the government or influencers, we really need to dive deeper into the data and then look at how it applies to us. So let's look at how this data applies to you. I have 2 questions for you. Before you answer the question for yourself, should I drink a sodium and electrolyte-based beverage? I want you to look at these 2 questions. Number 1, is your diet low in sodium? Are you someone that eats a lot of fresh foods? You tend to not salt things. I mean, this was me. I don't eat out a lot, mostly because it's expensive. My goodness, it adds up so fast. We make a lot of food at home, and I was brought up in the generation that really was afraid of salt. So I don't salt a lot of things, just more out of habit. And so when I looked at that, I thought, I wonder how much sodium I'm getting. My sodium intake was really, really low. I see this in a lot of my clients who are pregnant that tend to eat, quote, clean. When they eat that way, they tend to miss out on salt. And we need that, especially when you're pregnant and you have a higher blood pressure. You need more sodium so that you don't get lightheaded. It's all connected. And so if you're someone that has a diet low in sodium, considering an electrolyte beverage may be a good idea. If you are someone that perhaps needs more sodium because you sweat a lot, you're an athlete, or maybe you live in a very humid climate, you might be someone that needs more sodium. Sodium is the number 1 electrolyte in your body. And when you have some of these circumstances that may either release sodium faster because you're sweating more or you have a higher output, you might need more sodium. And these electrolyte beverages are a great way to add them. The second question I have for you is, what is your potassium intake? And let me rephrase that in more layman's terms. Do you have a diet high in fruits and vegetables? Fruits and veggies are loaded with potassium. And one of the things we know about potassium is that it offsets sodium. So when we think of sodium and potassium moving in and out of the cell, they're like opposite magnetic forces. Like they go in and out, kind of depending on what the other one is doing. So they work together. If you are someone that has a diet really low in fruits and veggies and therefore potassium, adding more sodium on top of your diet may not be the best idea. Now, flip that. If you're someone that has a really high potassium intake because you eat a ton of fruits and veggies, you may need a little bit more sodium. It's really about the balance. And this question is also applicable to folks who have high blood pressure. Again, some of the newer research, which I am loving this data, is showing us that it's not so much about your sodium intake, but it's your sodium to potassium ratio. So when you're looking at these beverages that are popping up, should I drink an electrolyte package? I want you to ask yourself, what is my sodium intake? Might I need more? And then what is my potassium or my fruit and veggie intake? Would adding more sodium be helpful in creating more balance? And here's the thing with these electrolytes. You can add them and then see what happens. If you add in sodium packets and your blood pressure's through the roof, don't continue to add sodium packets. If you add sodium packets and you're noticing your hydration levels are better, meaning this is what I noticed when I started having more sodium, I felt my water was going farther. And what I mean by that is I wasn't peeing as often. And when I had to pee, I would go and my urine was a lighter color instead of darker. So I really felt it helped me rebalance my hydration status. Let's look at all this for you. This is the biofeedback piece. When you try these things, what does your body say? So as per usual, the answer to this question is not a simple yes or no. Rather, it depends on you. And if we pull in that empowered eating model, we can look at some of the science, which is what we did today, expanding that maybe some people need more sodium than we thought, or more people need more sodium than we thought. But then we line that up with our body's biofeedback. What does our body say about these added sodium packets? For me, I had a great experience with it, and I now drink an electrolyte-based beverage every single day. I feel better. There was a quick difference, like I felt it within a day, but there was also a long-term difference as I saw some of my minerals rebalance, which in effect caused my hormones to rebalance. Sign me up, right? Like that is my body's biofeedback saying, yes. What is that going to be for you? Use these questions to help you evaluate. And if you're thinking, I need to dive in deeper and understand my nutrition from a deeper level, I want to tell you, you're not alone. There is a reason dietitians have jobs. There is a reason we go to school, because some of these questions at face value are easy to answer, and then we have more questions. Don't do that alone. Get someone in your corner. But as for today, my hope for you, friend, as we wrap up this summer series, is that you consider adding a sodium and electrolyte beverage if it's something that your body needs and says yes to. Let's do it. It's a great resource. I think this is where nutrition science is really cool, and we have found ways to capitalize on nutrition science and give us resources that make us feel better. Let's do it. Sign me up for it. If you're someone that has high blood pressure or perhaps already has a high sodium intake just because of your nutrition lifestyle, it's not good or bad. It just means that's where you're at. Let's be empowered in that decision and skip this trend. Well, my friend, that is all I have for you as we wrap up the summer series. We're going to return to our bi-weekly episodes until we drop another series, which is likely going to be in early fall. Super excited. I'll give you a little hint. It will be on empowered exercise. So ready for that one. In the meantime, I hope you check out that free biofeedback workshop. I put it together extra special for you guys because I want this summer to be empowered for you. We're all putting on swimsuits anyways, and this is no time to not feel confident, not trust our body. We need to really partner with it this summer so we don't miss a single second of this awesome life. Until I see you next time, I hope you have an awesome day. Cheers, maybe with an electrolyte beverage, maybe not. And happy eating, my friend. I'm so glad you were here today. Let's do yourself a favor and write down at least one actionable item that you can take away from today's episode to start fueling your awesome. Here on the show, we scratch the surface of empowered eating, but if you're looking to dive in deeper, I would love to help you out with that. Head over to jessbrownrd.com. You can check out my free Empowered Eating Workshop. You can take a free quiz to see if your eating style aligns with your values, or better yet, book a discovery call with me to learn more about how to further your empowered eating journey. I cannot wait to be in your ear again, cheering you on along the way. Until then, cheers and happy eating.